Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Priestess Diaries. My name is Danny and I'm a priestess, and this series is really about awakening the priestess that lives within you. So today's episode is going to be about my menstrual cycle rituals, which I like to do when I have my period, which I currently have. So I thought that I would take you along with me with what I get up to make my period more sacred and to honor this special time of the month. So many women today are disconnected from their bodies. It's not their fault. We haven't, as young girls, been taught about our bodies, believe it or not. I actually only learned about menstrual cycle awareness when I was about 31. I'm currently 34, and it has changed my life. It really has, and it breaks my heart that for so long I didn't have this information. And the fact that I speak to so many women about menstrual cycle awareness because I'm so passionate about it today, and what I find is so many women don't want to talk about their menstrual cycle. So many women hate their menstrual cycle, and it's something that a lot of women dread, that time of the month as it's called, right? They don't even want to say they have their period. They don't want to talk about it. And it's such a shame because on average, us women, we have approximately 400 periods in our lifetime, and we're experiencing, if our period is healthy, every 28 days or so we should be having a period. And it's such a shame that this thing that's occurring every single month, we have not been taught how to love this about ourselves. We have not been taught how to celebrate this about ourselves. We have not been taught how to actually treat our body correctly and give it the right nourishment and attention that it needs in order to truly thrive. And this is why I believe that so many women today are struggling with menstrual cycle issues, painful periods, endometriosis, PCOS, you name it. I feel like 1 in 2 women has some sort of issue, and infertility is rising, and it's something that people are not really addressing. We have this whole feminist movement talking about women's rights, but I feel like nobody's talking about women's health. Yes, women have more rights than they ever did, but I feel like with that, with all this stress and workload that women are taking on, doing all the things, the health of women is declining more and more and more. And our menstrual cycles as women is so key to connecting to our divine feminine energy, because divine feminine energy is cyclical. It's being in harmony, not just with the cycles of nature. You think of the seasons, they're constantly ebbing and flowing from summer to winter and back again. We have the cycles of the moon, constantly ebbing and flowing, waxing and waning. Everything in nature is constantly moving through these cycles, and women, we are an embodiment of that, and we move through these same cycles. We actually experience an inner summer, spring, winter, and autumn within our 28-day menstrual cycle. And so many women don't even know that about themselves. So many women think that their menstrual cycle is just the days that they bleed, but it's the entire month. And when you learn, Luna, and when you learn about how amazing your cycle is, when you truly work with it, that's when you really see the magic unfolding. Because rather than resisting your natural body's rhythm, you're not resisting life, you're not resisting your body, you're not resisting being a woman. You're actually embracing what it means to be a woman. And when we do that as women, that's actually when we step into our true power. And so today's episode is really just me showing you a few of the things that I do when I have my period to make it special, to make it fun, to make it something that I look forward to every month. So I wanted to show you what I do. I'm wearing some comfy pink, of course, pajamas, tracksuit, because when we bleed as women, it's really an invitation for us to take deep rest. And it's really important as well that we keep warm during this time. A lot of Chinese doctors will say that the Western woman's womb is cold, and that's why we're seeing so many women struggling with menstrual issues, because our wombs are actually cold. We don't know how to tend to the womb. We haven't really been taught in our culture. Women most of the time are just told that, oh yeah, you get this period thing and here's a pad, here's a tampon, just use that when you're bleeding. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, you can still play sports, you can still do all the things, right? You can still keep up with men during that time, when in actual fact our hormones are really, really low, and it's actually not a good time to be running a triathlon. It's not a good time to be exerting all your energy, because our hormones are low, and that's actually a time when our body needs deep replenishment. It's actually a time when our body needs deep rest, because we're shedding the uterine lining. And women, what people don't understand about women is that the vaginal tissue is the most absorbent tissue in our entire body. So we're not just absorbing what toxins are in our underwear, in our pads, in our tampons. And mind you, many studies came out the previous year about how many toxic metals were found in disposable tampons and pads. But I won't get into that today. Do your own research. There's so many alternative methods to healthy menstrual products. But we are not just absorbing whatever we're putting down there, but we're also absorbing energies. We're absorbing emotions, trauma, particularly if you're engaging in sexual acts. Okay, we are receiving all of that. That's how the feminine energy works. It receives, it pulls towards, it magnetizes, right? And it doesn't just necessarily magnetize all of our dreams and desires. It can do that, but it's also receiving energies that may be not so great to harbor in our womb. And when we shed the uterine lining, we're actually shedding emotions that no longer serve us, limiting beliefs, trauma, not just from ourselves, but for the people in our community, for our partners, for our children. We are shedding. We are always, constantly, each month. That is the divine feminine. Our womb is this sacred portal of creation, and each month we are cleansing. We are doing this deep death and rebirth process, where we're letting go of what no longer serves us, what we're holding in our body, in our womb in particular, and we're letting go of all of that. And that's why so many women have painful periods, because they're not nourishing their bodies correctly. They're not actually taking time to rest. They're not honoring what is being released at this time. Instead, they're trying to keep up with a 9-to-5 job, just keeping up with our hypermasculine society. And this wreaks havoc for women, and particularly our biology. Our hormones don't thrive like this, and this is why we're seeing so much illness today. And the solution is not birth control, my friends. The solution is not birth control, despite what all the gynecologists are telling you. The solution is not birth control, because the birth control pill, I mean, I won't even get into that. I probably should do a whole other episode on that. But the birth control pill puts your body in a state of menopause. It shuts down your hormonal system. And you're basically cutting off your feminine essence when you go on birth control. It's not what you want. If you were a woman who wants to connect to her divine feminine energy, birth control literally changes your hormone structure so you operate more like a man, right? Puts you more in the masculine. And that's not, if you're watching something like this, you want to connect with your divine feminine energy. And so one way we do that is connecting to our beautiful menstrual cycle. So that's the intention of this vlog. I'm going to take you on a few of my rituals that I do. I have more, but I won't show you everything. Not to say that you have to copy what I do, but I hope that this maybe inspires you to start your own period rituals and to make this time truly special, and to even start tracking your cycle, which I'm going to talk about in today's vlog. So I have here a womb blend, which I've made myself. So this is a herbal tea that I've actually put together myself. It contains herbs that are really good to nourish our feminine energy. Actually, all the herbs I used in this blend are feminine. So it has rose, which is really amazing for, of course, opening the heart chakra. It's amazing for self-love, for nurturing. It contains vervain, which is a beautiful herb for protection, particularly how I mentioned that our wombs are very, very sensitive to energy. So vervain is really good for that. It contains lemon balm, which is really good for calming and relaxing, which is exactly what we need when we have our period. And it also contains the main ingredient, which is raspberry leaf, which is amazing for menstrual health and hormone regulation. So you can put together your own herbal blend, and I find that having a cup of tea, a warm cup of tea, particularly from this herbal blend, it's so nourishing. I just leave that in here to brew for a little bit, just to make sure that the herbs all infuse in this hot water. You could also add, which is really nice, you could also add some honey. I actually ran out of honey. It's on my shopping list, but I normally will add honey to this blend. I mean, you don't need it, depends how sweet you are, but I find like with a little bit of honey, it's really nice. Particularly, you know, when you're on your period, you tend to crave something a little bit sweet sometimes. So I find the honey just does the trick with that one. So this tea I absolutely love. I have made it one of my rituals. So like every time that I have my period, I take this tea out and I make myself, yeah, a bit like a half a pot of tea, and I drink that just to help with any menstrual pain or discomfort that I might be feeling, and just to slow down and to nurture myself. I find tea really grounds me, and particularly when it's herbal, and I absolutely love making my own blends because I feel like a real witch when I put my own blends together. And I've been actually selling this one at my women's circles, and I've received a lot of positive feedback from other women. I would even brew it for the women at my previous women's circles, and they all loved it. So I definitely recommend rose, raspberry leaf, lemon balm, and vervain, but you could make your own blend depending on what intuitively calls you, which herb intuitively calls you. So I've made my cup of herbal tea, and now I'll show you the next step of my period ritual. Now, one thing I do always for my whole menstrual cycle, not just when I bleed, but I actually have, believe it or not, this is how nerdy I am, but I have a whole folder of my menstrual cycle where I track my menstrual cycle. So I'll show you here. This is a wheel that I actually personally created for myself. So this is a fresh one that I haven't used. So you can see menstrual cycle tracker. And I'll show you what it looks like when you fill it out. I actually have this available on my website. So if you want a PDF, you can just download it for free. I'll leave a link in the comments section below, and you can download yourself a free copy of this because it's so cool. Like, so if you look here, I have been tracking my cycle for months and months and months and months and months. So I have like, yeah, basically a lot of data on my period. So I'll show you this one. This is from last year, but you can see like I have filled out all of the little quadrants, and here, so going around it is actually the moon cycle. So what I'll do is when I start at day 1, I'll work out where the moon is. You can just go on the internet, unless you're looking up at the sky every night, and you see if it's a full moon, if it's a new moon, if it's waxing, if it's waning, and you can find where the moon cycle is. I then put, say, day 1 and the date, and then I write in this little box here, these little boxes. So this is, so if you look closely, so I put down the day, so day 4 of my cycle, the date, and then I write a little bit about what happened that day. If I feel sick, what color my blood is, if I have period cramps, if I do exercise, and basically I just monitor how I feel, what I do at different times of the month. Now, after a while, that doesn't become so important because basically what you learn is how you are at different times of the month. So now, because I have been tracking my cycle for so friggin' long, like I actually know how I'm going to feel ahead of time usually, because now that I have so much data, as you saw, like I've been tracking my cycle for years, I know my usual body clock, like truly throughout the whole month. So it makes it really easy, particularly someone like me who has a business. You know, I do a lot of content creation. I kind of know the times when I'll have a lot of energy, and I know the times when I probably won't, usually during my menstrual phase, which is when I bleed, and usually the week before, which is the luteal phase. That's usually more where I want to draw inwards. I don't really want to be doing a lot of social events. I'm definitely more introverted at that time. Whereas like usually the week or two after my period, I have a lot of energy, right? Because that's our follicular phase leading up to our ovulatory phase. That's when our hormones are rising as women. So we have an increase in testosterone, estrogen, and we're feeling good. We're feeling motivated. And what I love about tracking your cycle, regardless about, you know, planning things and knowing how you're going to feel ahead of time, the beautiful thing is it really, what it's helped me do is to have compassion for myself and to know that I'm not a machine, that I don't operate the same every day, and that's okay. We're not actually supposed to, particularly as women. I mean, men as well are not machines, but women in particular, we operate like the cycles of the moon. You know, we're not going to be full every day of the month, and that's okay. It's okay. We're allowed to have times when we want to go inwards. There's times when I'm a lot more sensitive. Usually the days before I get my period, I'm just, you know, you say one thing to me, I'll start crying. Like I'm so sensitive, and sometimes I don't even know why I'm crying. I just start crying because of hormones. And knowing where I am, because I track where I am on my cycle, if I know like, okay, I'm leading up to the days that I bleed, if I feel sad, if I feel like crying, if I am crying, at least I can be like, oh, I get it. It's just a hormonal thing. It will pass. I'm okay. In the next few days, I'm going to feel better. And it just allows you to have so much more grace and compassion for yourself, which is why I really recommend that you start tracking your menstrual cycle. It also just helps you relate to your body in such a deep way, so you really get to know yourself at this more intimate level. You can really give yourself what you need at different times of the month. So another ritual that is probably my favorite thing to do when I have my period is that I do a little bit of divination. Since I'm a tarot card reader, I do a little bit of divination for the moon cycle or for the menstrual cycle ahead. So basically, I did mention before that we have 4 phases of our menstrual cycle. So we have the follicular phase, which is our inner spring. We have the ovulatory phase when we're ovulating. That's the inner summer. We have the luteal phase, which is our inner autumn. So that's when our hormones begin to decline. If our ovulation phase is when our hormones are peaking, after that we have the luteal phase, which is when our hormones start to, I suppose, decline in the lead up to our menstruation. So that's when we have our period, and that's our inner winter. So that's when we really want to draw inwards. So we have 4 phases of our menstrual cycle, which most women don't know that we have. And so what I like to do is, you could do it with an oracle card, but I pull 1 tarot card for each phase of my cycle. And it's so wild, because every time I do this, and I have been doing this for years, what I receive from the tarot comes true. Like that card actually manifests for that period phase. So it's amazing. It always blows my mind. Sometimes I can't anticipate how it's going to manifest, because the tarot has multiple readings per card. So there's different ways that a card can manifest in your life. However, it always manifests. And then what I like to do when I have my period is, yes, I like to pull the 4 cards, but then I go back to the previous reading from the previous period, and I like to kind of journal or write down exactly how that card manifested and reflect on my previous menstrual cycle. So it's such a beautiful way, honestly, to celebrate and to honor the phase of your life that just passed, because every time that we go through a menstrual cycle, it's like a mini death. We're literally shedding this old version of ourselves, and we will never be the same woman again. We are releasing an unfertilized egg that we will never ever be able to bring forward into the world. And so there has to be an honoring with that. There really needs to be some sort of ritual, or whatever word you want to call it, but there needs to be some sort of reverence for what your body is actually doing. And how amazing is it that we go through this cycle every month, and we go through this death period, which is also a rebirth, because we're a new woman each time that we bleed. Once I picked my 4 cards, I will write down what I received. So I got the 6 of Pentacles for spring. I got the Star for summer. I've got the 6 of Wands for autumn, and for winter I have the 2 of Wands. So basically, just to give you a little reading what I'm anticipating for the next month, this could potentially mean there could be some hardships with money coming up for me in the next couple of weeks. It could be that someone's reaching out to me for money, although what I intuitively feel is that there's going to be, you see this card, it kind of has like, there's someone handing out money and there's someone receiving money. So there's some sort of balancing or imbalance of money. Usually Pentacles has to do with money, so that's coming up for me in the near future, because I'm currently on my period. So in the next week or so, I can expect this card to manifest in some way. Summer, for my ovulatory phase, the Star, I really like this card. This means it's really about healing. It could be that I'm being asked to draw upon my faith, onto my connection with God, Spirit. It could be a renewal kind of energy. It's moving forward after the chaos. So that's exciting. In case this is a bit challenging for me, it kind of shows that there's hope coming at my ovulatory phase. For the autumn phase, hi my love, it's my cat Luna. Say hi to everybody. Are you jealous I'm not giving you much attention? Huh? Do you want to say hi? Yeah? Do you like being on YouTube? Yeah? Just hanging out? So what was I saying? So then, autumn, 6 of Wands. This is kind of promising. This card usually means victory, success. So maybe whatever it is I was struggling with at the beginning of the month, there's some sort of breakthrough with this victory card. And 2 of Wands, this is for my next period. It potentially means that there's a decision for me to make. I'm basically, this guy, he's got the world in his hands. So it's potentially that I have a decision to make, or that I have opportunities presenting themselves. This is quite promising. It could be that I have to make a decision, maybe 2 different options available for me. There's something here where I'll be making some sort of decision. Which road am I going to take? So that's really what I have to look forward to in the month ahead. It's quite promising. I know some of you will be like, oh my God, what if I pull a card that isn't the best card to pull in the tarot if you're using tarot cards? If you're afraid of that, maybe an oracle card will be better, an oracle deck. But I really find this so fun. And even if I do get a negative card, I don't really like to say positive and negative, but I feel like, say you do get a card that's quite challenging. I mean, this card, the 6 of Pentacles, could be challenging for me. But rather than going into it like, oh my gosh, I'm going to face this challenge, really we can go into it like, hey, maybe there's a challenge ahead, but based on the guidance I'm receiving from the universe, like I know that I'm protected, I know that I'm guided, and no matter what kind of comes in my path, I trust, I have faith that I am being taken care of, that I am protected, and that everything will work out. What's that quote? It's like, in the end, I don't know, I'm probably going to butcher this because I always butcher quotes, but it's something like, you know, it'll all work out in the end, and if it doesn't work out, it's not the end. I love that because it's true. Anyway, getting back to the episode, I love doing things like this on my period, and I think it's such a priestessy, witchy kind of thing to do, which really honors the divine feminine energy within us. It honors our cycle, but it also honors our intuition and our direct connection with source. So as you can see, I'm in my meditation corner in my home, and meditation is actually really amazing when you bleed. So when we have our period, women, our left and right hemispheres actually merge. We're able to perceive downloads and our intuition and to receive messages from the divine more easily when we have our period, because our brain's doing that. That's why often when you have your period, you have a bit of brain fog and you can't really think perhaps as analytically as you normally do, right? And that's because our brain changes at different times of our cycle. Say hi, Luna. Hi. Hi. So I think with that said, the last thing I would say is relax. Get yourself a cozy blanket, get yourself a fur baby, and just chill out, because that is what our bodies really need during our period. We need rest, we need downtime, and really just honor this sacred time. And the thing is, society's not going to give it to you, right? Maybe your partner's not going to give it to you, your kids are not going to give it to you. So it's really important that we learn to honor, it's really important that we learn to honor what we need and carve out that time for ourselves, even if it's an hour, even if it's just taking a bubble bath, or, you know, just pulling back from your everyday duties just a little bit and asking for help in some areas. It's really important that we really give ourselves the nourishment it needs so that we don't get sick and we don't create a disconnection from our bodies as women. It's really important that while we're in this body, we learn to take care of it. I really believe health is wealth, and we have such a beautiful opportunity now to educate ourselves with all the information that's available. And why wouldn't you? You know, you're just doing yourself a disservice if you're not taking advantage of that. So that's all I wanted to share in today's vlog. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any period rituals for yourself, or you are tracking your menstrual cycle, then definitely let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you get up to when you have your period. It's such an important conversation that I think more of us need to have, and particularly to encourage young girls to embrace their cycles and to love their bodies, and not just love their shape or, you know, the way their body looks, but to love their hormones, to love the feminine cycles, and not to see it as a curse, but to actually see it as a gift. Imagine how truly empowering that would be for young girls to learn to truly nourish their bodies correctly and to track their cycles and to love their bodies. I just think it would just create such a more beautiful world. And we can all do that by, first of all, healing our relationship with our own menstrual cycle, and then inspiring other people to maybe do the same, just by us being an embodiment of that, because that's truly the priestess way. We're not here to preach to anyone. We're not here to talk people to death with our ideologies. We really want to just lead from example. We want to lead from love. We want to show people just by who we are what's actually truly possible. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and spend this time with me. If you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, then let me know in the comments below. And until my next episode, take care, my loves. Mwah.